What exactly is this thing for? This is another tool that clients have seen in my tool belt over the years, and they always want to know what it's used for. And I tell them that this is one of the most useful demolition tools ever made. So today I'm going to talk real quick about what this tool is, what it does, and how to effectively use it. And that's coming up next on the Honest Carpenter Show. Okay, so this thing goes by a variety of generic names, but pretty much everyone I know in the construction industry calls it the Cat's Paw. It's not hard to see why that's the case. The tool consists of a long, thin bar with one of the ends folded over at a 90-degree angle. But both ends have this little cleft that looks endearingly like a cat's folded paw. As for its intended usage, the Cat's Paw is the best tool for prying up embedded nails. An embedded nail is one that has been sunken or driven all the way in, with the head barely exposed or not really exposed at all. If you're doing demolition, these nails can be a real problem because they may prevent you from prying up a single board. Sometimes you can pry somewhere else, or just cut the board. But other times you need to remove one or more fasteners just so you can lift the board away carefully. The Cat's Paw is one of the only tools that can manage that. You use it in conjunction with the 16-ounce hammer, which means that you strike it. But the Cat's Paw is made of tempered steel so it can stand up to the abuse. To pry out an embedded nail, you want to get the cleft of the tool lodged beneath the head of the nail. That way the tool can act like a mini pry bar just to lift the fastener up. Now, this is sometimes easier said than done. There's a technique to it. If you try to drive it at an angle, it'll sometimes just skip off the surface of the wood, possibly messing up your nail head in the process. The key is really getting the points on either end to dig into the wood before you try to get it under the nail head. I do this by starting the Cat's Paw at a very sharp angle. I often just use the shorter end for this operation. I set it at 90 degrees so the teeth are pointed straight down. Then I drive it into the wood with a couple hard hits from the hammer. Once it's lodged, I know that it probably won't skip out. Now I can begin rotating it to scoop the claw underneath the nail head. I do this by prying back on the long handle while occasionally hitting the backside of the tool with the hammer. This keeps driving it forward and deeper at the same time. You can often feel the cleft notch around the shaft of the nail. You just want to get it locked in all the way beneath the head. At this point, the tool is usually still at an angle and doesn't want to straighten up. So I like to get my hand out of the way further down, then tap backwards on the handle with the neck of my hammer. It doesn't take much force and the neck connects more firmly. Just be sure you don't strike your stabilizing hand. As the tool straightens up, the head of the nail slowly becomes exposed. I pry a little bit more and then stop. At that point, I put the Cat's Paw aside because it only has so much total leverage. I usually switch to a hammer or a pry bar to pry the nail the rest of the way out. Or I use a long-handled nail puller or a nipper for the same purpose. It takes a little practice, but pretty soon you can do the whole thing in about 5 to 10 seconds. It only gets difficult if the head of the nail breaks, so don't break it. When you start driving the tool, make sure it's about 1/8 of an inch away from the nail head. Then angle it in and be sure that it's set beneath the head before prying. I don't own one, but some Cat's Paws have a little cone-shaped nozzle on one side. This is for driving down wood around the nail head. You just put it over the nail head and pound it down a bit, then do everything the same way. It just helps get the head exposed. And those things are great if your tool has one, but they're not strictly necessary from my experience. Also, Cat's Paws come in different shapes. I don't really like the ones that have a rounded scoop shape because I think they're too big to dig into the wood easily. I like the skinnier, more dagger-shaped ones. They're more precise and require less force to drive in. You can use either end, but I typically start with the angled end because it's easier to drive with the hammer. That way you can hit straight down. I'll sometimes use the long end for fasteners that are partially hidden, where I need a little more reach to get at them. The Cat's Paw will work for framing nails, common nails. They'll even work for trim nails if you can get the cleft hooked under the skinny head. But they won't work for screws because screw threads are too aggressive. You can't pry screws out. Also, remember, the Cat's Paw will damage the wood you're working on, so don't use it on nice surfaces you want to reinstall, like trim. It'll make a mess of them. Find another way to pry those up. I did a whole video on removing trim carefully, so check that one out if you're interested. That said, what do you think of the Cat's Paw? Are you just now hearing about this tool? Or do you use it often and you have some tips or techniques to share? Let me hear about it down in the comments. I'm going to link several Cat's Paws down below in the description. Feel free to browse them. And remember that when you shop through these links, we receive a small commission at no extra charge to you. It helps us keep making videos and we greatly appreciate the support. As always, thanks for watching. Be sure to check back in for more videos coming up soon. And please consider subscribing and hit that little bell button to turn on notifications. That way you'll know the moment we post something. I'm Ethan James with TheHonestCarpenter.com. I'll see you next time.